Heyo everybody, Haku here with my live reaction for episode 6 of Kami no Tou Ouji no Kikan, or Tower of God Return of the Prince. We're now, at episode 6. We're like halfway through the first core already, basically. It's pretty crazy. I actually want to do a video where I break down what I think should be in Season 3 and Season 4, etc. I've been thinking about that a lot. I wanna do a video on that. I wanted to do it this week, but I didn't have time, so I will do it sometime next week. And actually, it's like midnight, but I'm recording this on Sunday. This is crazy. I think this is the first time I actually got time to record this on Sunday. So yeah, quick disclaimer, as I've been saying at the beginning of all of these, if you're here, you probably already know, but just in case you don't, I have already read the source material, I've already read the manhwa. In fact, I've been reading it for like 14, 13 years, something like that, probably since like 2011-ish, somewhere around there, maybe a little earlier, at least 2011. I've been reading Tower of God since then, so I read this stuff on the week to week. And I will say, before jumping into episode 6, episode 5, I think pretty much everybody was like, wow, that was a step up from episode 4 and what came before, and that's a little sad to me. It's a little disappointing because every time I go through a manhwa reaction, and of course my actual thoughts reading the manhwa week to week, every single time I see people like, oh my god, the 20th floor arc, the untrustworthy room's incredible, oh my god, I love that so much. People are always gushing over it, loving it so much, and then it just keeps getting better and better. But then I watch anime only's reactions and they're like, wow, that first arc was kind of lame compared to season 1, but hopefully it looks like it's getting better from here, and that's just such a bummer, because instead of it just being this hype train that keeps building and building and building, people are disappointed by the first arc and what is honestly one of the strongest parts of the story. And something that I had forgot to talk about before going into last week's episode that I really wanted to, I forgot to talk about it in last week's episode, is that looking back on these first 4 episodes, it does, it's of course kind of a bummer that it's not as bad as season 1, of course, but you're just getting a lesser version of what you would get if you were reading. And I actually think that a part of it is that, would it be nice if this adaptation went above and beyond and fleshed things out and added new things? Yeah, I think it actually kind of needs it, because when I look back on those first 4 episodes, yeah, they leave out the bath scene. Yeah, they shorten the balcony stuff to make it in the room while they're playing cards. But most of the anime didn't really leave things out. Most of the anime is kind of a panel-to-panel adaptation. Of course, the art's a little bit less good, which is again a bummer, but it's like we're not really leaving a lot out at all. So I think actually you would need to adapt things, you would need to flesh things out and add new things to make this work, because I think the story of that first arc of the combined 20th floor, the untrustworthy room, if you want to call it all that, even though it's not all that, I think that it was written in manhwa format, and it really works in manhwa format. And even if, like I said, the anime gives us what is pretty much a near panel-to-panel adaptation, the reason why it doesn't really work in anime format is because Tower of God, not always, it depends on the arc, is kind of complex. There's a lot of things going on, at the very least, a lot of things happening, and when you're reading that in manhwa format, you can sit on a scene and think about it a little before you move on. You can kind of scroll back a few panels to be like, wait, what'd they say? But when I watch people, reacting to the anime adaptation, when I watch people seeing the anime for the first time, the way it works, even though you get the same content for the most part, is it's like, okay, this scene happens in 10 to 15 seconds, then this next scene happens in 10 to 15 seconds, and when you're reading, you have time to take your time to think things through, to refer back to things. But when you're watching it as an anime, you're just getting blasted by information. You're just getting, okay, so this thing happened, and you only have 10 seconds to process it. Okay, now this thing happened, and you have to process that within 10 seconds. And you're just constantly getting blasted with things. And I think that's why, even if they didn't leave out the bath stuff, even if they left in every single thing and continued to just do a panel by panel adaptation. The reason why that arc works in manhwa format but doesn't work in anime format is just because it was written to be in manhwa format, and it works that way because you can take your time with it. And with an anime, like, even if they stretched the scenes out a little bit longer, even if they gave us 5 episodes for that arc instead of 4 episodes, I don't think it would have made that much of a difference, because you're just getting new thing after new thing after new thing. And I think that the only way to really make that work would really be to, again, like, flesh things out further, and like really, instead of doing what they did, which is take what's there and compress it down even faster, you would need to really decompress it. You would need to really just let things hang and get, again, a really, really, really high, a high detail adaptation, which, again, it's a bummer we don't get that kind of adaptation. You would really need something like that to make that arc work in anime format, because, again, just going back through, looking at these episodes and people's reactions, and looking back on the manhwa from that time, again, I don't think they did a bad job at adapting, if you're saying that adapting is just showing it scene by scene. But I think where the failing comes in is that it just doesn't work in anime format with the way that it's written very well. You really would have to change things up a little bit, and I don't mean like change the actual story, I mean change things up as in like add in some new shots and fill things out a bit in order to make it work in anime format. But with all that aside, I'm excited to see how we're doing. I have a good feeling that I know what this episode will probably cover, same with next episode, so I'm excited to see how that comes into being, so let's go ahead and start watching. And if any of you are new and were also a little bit like, put off by how long-winded the intro was, that's again very usual for the channel. I feel like my content and my reactions to things tend to be very discussion oriented, over like just like really like loud yelling, super emotional. That's just the way that I get into series. So either way, let's start. Let's see what the episode has for us. The anime design for Jinsung looks super young. Like the vibes, I mean, his cheeks are kind of sunken in that shot. The vibe I get from the manhwa is like 40s. I mean, I guess he looks kind of younger when he's first introduced in the manhwa too, but even here he looks even younger than that. I love the line, if anything, you're on the better end. Oh yeah, she called him Yutaka there. I forgot his name's different in Japanese. Hwariyun's voice is really, really good. I really like the way they changed that line around. Of course, Mirchia name drop is really, really cool, but I love that they just casually dropped him calling him by Bomb instead of making a like really big deal out of it. I think that felt like more natural. I liked it. They didn't mention the rings here, so I forget. I thought they did include the rings in the anime, or am I just remembering wrong? Did they cut the rings out that they got when they made it past the second floor? So he's even being called Jovial Grace even back at this point. This has all been really, really good so far. They have really, much like last episode, done the pacing way better, but also kept adapting basically everything just scene for scene. His voice there. I love that they're keeping these outfits. They all look really good. Like Hwariyang's like giant teddy bear shirt. And I like that they added in everyone there instead of just the 3 of them. And just ominous Karaka. Yeah, I like this. I like that instead of it just being the few of them, they had the whole team there for this. It's a little bit of a bummer. I think they cut out... I'm pretty sure there was like a scene of them playing volleyball, and when we get the first shot of them at the railing, Miseng is up on Viol's shoulders. It's a little bit of a bummer that we miss out on some of that stuff. Also a little bit of a bummer that the Zygaena isn't pink. It's all like stone textured or stone textured. There are a few comedy scenes here that I really hope they don't get rid of. That is a egregious still frame. Holy shit. I thought that there was something wrong with what I was watching. I thought like the video had just frozen up or something. That was pretty rough. That was pretty rough, actually. I think it's fine, though, that they left the explanation in instead of just having that as them speaking to, like, them being spoken to on the ship, just having that as part of them climbing onto it, just to save a little bit of time. The weird floating hoops things. I love this dramatic music. Oh, they left out the scene of how they got up there, because Viol and Prince rode on Horyang's back, but they left her because she was so focused on swimming that they were like, you know, she might get upset. Like, you were so focused we didn't want to interrupt you. I like the way they're doing his Shinsu color. Again, like, if this was a more high detail adaptation, they could have really done so much more visually to make him seem more imposing, or to really build up the sense of a threat here. That's they gave us baby in English. Like, really, they have... I just feel like through the visuals here, or the sense, they haven't really built that up to us. I feel like, again, if you... Like, we've had Mazano mentioned some, and we see it's on his back already, but unless you really read the blog posts and everything and know, like, how strong he's supposed to be, this portrayal doesn't really get it across to me. Like, it's like, he could just be another regular for all we know with this portrayal. Cute. Okay, I actually think my thoughts on this one would be like the exact same as last week, where I do think you're probably going to get a better experience just reading, because I think the pacing's going to be better for you, the art looks better. I think that, you know, much like last week, they added in essentially everything. They didn't really leave anything out. They didn't really particularly skim over anything. I think that reading is the better experience overall if you're really into it. But if you don't like reading, this was not a bad adaptation. This was just by the books, scene by scene adaptation. Did it go above and beyond? Nah, it didn't go above and beyond. But I think even just getting a simple scene by the books adaptation is better than what it could be. It isn't, you know, really rushing things like Season 1 was. It isn't really skimming over things like Season 1 was. It isn't making weird changes, like very weird changes like Season 1 was. So again, it could be much worse. And not just Season 1 of Tower of God, it's easy to compare it to that because it's literally the same series, but I have seen so many adaptations skim things or skim over important things, really rush through things, reorganize things and make really weird changes. A lot of Hero Academia's animated some of that. Like, there's so much worse I have seen in terms of adaptation. So much worse. And even then, those are just kind of like mid or below average adaptations that I've seen do that kind of thing. I'm not even talking disastrous adaptations like The Promised Neverland Season 2, where they just completely destroy everything. So it's like, compared to what I have seen for so many other series that I've read before, and then they've gotten an adaptation, and I've been like, oh boy, am I excited for this adaptation, and it's been legitimately sometimes really disappointing, sometimes actually awful. Compared to that, like, I don't really have a problem. I thought this was solid. I think they did a pretty good job, much like they did last episode. Again, is it perfect? Again, is it great? I think they could do much, much better, but I don't hate it. I certainly don't hate it. I'm just fairly neutral on it, I guess, still. Like, I'm more than neutral. I personally like it. I think it's just a nice little additional extra thing. I do think, just for me personally, my thoughts are, you know, if I'm allowed to get a little bit negative here, my thoughts are just with the time put in and the money put in. For me, if you're going to spend 4 years since season 1, I don't think they were even thinking about working on this for that entirety of those 4 years, obviously. But if you're gonna, come with another season 4 years later, if you're going to bother to do a second season at all, if you're gonna pay the money and spend the time to do 2 cores here, like, why not go all out? Why not make something that looks good? If you're gonna put the money and the time in, why not just go all in? I don't really get the idea. Again, it's different if it's the first season of something and you're just testing the waters, or maybe using it as an advertisement to bring people to the source material. Then I kind of get it. But when you're in the second season of something and you're really putting a lot of time and money into something, why half-ass it? Why not whole-ass it? Why not really throw all you have at this, instead of just kind of being like, yeah, we made something. Like, again, it's just like visually everything and sound-wise and stuff, I think it did much better this episode than the previous ones this season have done. But like, the visuals still were not great. So it's like, I don't know. I just feel like if you're gonna put all this time and money in, why not do a little better? Why not really try? So yeah. I mean, it's what we get. It's what we get. And again, I don't want to be too negative, because I do think that, again, if you don't like reading things, if you're anime only for pretty much everything, this is solid. I don't really think there's a huge reason to complain. I don't think that you're really missing out. Season 1 maybe, but this so far, I don't think you're missing out on an absolute ton by just being an anime only. Now, what I would say is, if you do like reading, you're going to get a much better experience reading. I absolutely think that. And also, you gotta pay for streaming services to watch anime. A lot of manga and stuff, you have to pay to read more than like the first 3 chapters on official services and stuff. You can read all of Tower of God for free. You can just open up Webtoons and read it. Like it's perfectly free. You can get a better experience than this for free. And again, maybe that's not good. Maybe why spend all this money to make an anime adaptation when you can get a better experience for free? But with all that aside, I guess I'll end this video here. Thank you so much for watching, though. Thank you so much. Like if you did like the video, comment down there too. Tell me what you thought of this episode, my thoughts and reaction. Subscribe for more Tower of God, much more on the channel. Follow on Twitter if you want. If you want a link to the Discord server, it is free and open for anyone. If you'd like to help support the channel by dropping a super thanks down below, it is appreciated. And if you'd like to help support the channel but also get your name at the end of every video and get One Piece videos a little bit early, then you can hit join down below to become a member, or go to patreon.com/Haku of the Tubes, or a link will be in the description to become a patron. Thank you so much to people who are already patrons and channel members. Thank you to Chosen Regular Evan Holly, Magical Girls, FR Nono, Abyss Knight, JA, VD Ban, and Irony, Cherryton Students, David Langstaff and Folded Ghoul, Slayer Candidates, SG and Stan Cedar, and Pure Element Pate Ardialo. Thank you so much for all your support. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.